Hello, how are you? Welcome again to our lecture today. Okay, to lesson 2. So how are you? I hope you've been looking up the videos so far. Okay, that's very good if you have. So we'll be proceeding still on functional ecosystem. But this time we'll be talking about ecological pyramids. The last time we looked at food webs, food chains, and what trophic level is. Okay, and we looked at the various trophic levels and their functional groups. So this time we'll still be in the topic functional ecosystem, but it will be that we'll be talking about ecological pyramids. Okay, whereby we make mention of pyramid of numbers, energy, and of biomass. So let's proceed. First of all, let's understand what an ecological pyramid is. So what do we understand by a pyramid? Okay, now we are very familiar with this word pyramid because it's a solid shape in mathematics. I know you've come across pyramids, okay? However, there's also a term like that in ecology, and this one we have it as ecological pyramid. So an ecological pyramid is a diagram actually, okay, that shows the relationship, okay, that shows relationship of the energy or matter contained within each trophic level in a food web or food chain. Okay, so it's a diagram that shows the relationship, okay, of the amount of energy or matter contained within each trophic level in a food web or food chain. So we still need to understand that food chain and food web is still important when we're talking about ecological pyramids. That's why we started with those definitions of what the meaning of food chains and food webs are, because we really need to use them more in these ecological pyramids. So ecological pyramids will just show you, okay, it's a diagram. It's not a solid shape, it's just an illustration. Okay, it's a diagram that will show you the relationship between the amount of energy in any ecosystem as well as the matter or the numbers of organisms in any ecosystem. Okay, this could be done per unit area of the ecosystem. That's why we have 3 kinds. Now, if the pyramid will be showing you the amount of energy in that ecosystem at each trophic level, okay, that one will be pyramid of energy. If it will be telling you the number of organisms in the unit area of that ecosystem at each trophic level, that one is pyramid of numbers. But if it will be showing you a biomass of number of matter of organisms in a unit area of that ecosystem at each trophic level, that will be pyramid of biomass. So pyramid of ecological pyramids will now join all this together to be defined as an illustration that shows you the amount of the amount of energy, number of organisms, as well as total amount of matter contained in these organisms at each trophic level of the ecosystem. All right, so that's what ecological pyramid is. Now let's take a look at one of them, which is pyramid of energy or energy pyramid. So it's very important that you know that it's only 10% of the energy available within one trophic level is transferred to organisms at the next trophic level. Only 10%. So what will happen to the rest 90% of energy that was gathered by the producers? So it means that the primary consumer or the primary consumers, okay, all of them whatever will be the quantity of energy when you calculate across all the organisms that must have fed in a unit area of that ecosystem from the producers, it will only be 10% in all. Let's proceed. You get the picture clearer as we go on. Okay, let's now go next to look at biomass and pyramids, or pyramids of biomass. This shows the total amount of living tissue available at each trophic level. This shows the amount of tissue available for the next trophic level. Alright, so a pyramid of biomass, okay, will show you the total number of matter contained in all the organisms at each trophic level within a unit area of that ecosystem. A pyramid of number will show you the number of species at each trophic level. So these pyramids are looked at each trophic level, and by now you know each trophic level, isn't it? We have trophic level 1 normally occupied by the producers, trophic level 2 by the primary consumers, trophic level 3 by the secondary consumers, trophic level 4 by the tertiary consumers, trophic level 5 by the quaternary consumers, trophic level 6 by the decomposers. Okay, so now we are looking at these pyramids at each trophic level. I'm going to talk about these ecological pyramids. Okay, we're taking a look at each trophic level in a given unit area, in a unit area of the ecosystem or that habitat. Now, a pyramid of number will show you the total number of producers, for example, which is trophic level 1, all right, in a unit area of that ecosystem or habitat that you are looking at. Just a unit area, because the ecosystem or habitat may be too large, so we're just looking at a unit area. From that unit area, we can be able to make inference to the rest, or the total size of that habitat. Okay, so let's read that, the last pointer. Because each trophic level harvests only about 1/10 of the energy from the level below, it can support only about 1/10 the amount of living tissue. You'll get to understand as we proceed. Now, let's talk about feeding relationships. Energy flow through an ecosystem in one direction, right? Energy will flow through an ecosystem in one direction, from the sun to the autotrophs, and then to various heterotrophs, or the consumers. Now, the sun, we said, is the ultimate source of energy in any ecosystem. However, it's not contained in any trophic level of the food chain or the food web. Now, food chains, we said, are a series of steps in each. Okay, we looked at those the last time, so just for the sake of time, let's proceed, because we already talked about food chains and food webs. All right, and then, okay, let's now look proper. What do we mean by pyramid of numbers? Taking a look at what a pyramid of numbers will be or is. Okay, because we have pyramid of numbers. So what then is pyramid of numbers? Now, pyramid of numbers is a diagram. Okay, it's an ecological diagram that is used to represent the number of organisms at each trophic level per unit area of an ecosystem. So we are making this case, we are looking at this study per unit area, a mapped out area. From there, we can use it to generalize about the population or the habitat at large. For example, if in a unit area you have 10, okay, maize plants. Okay, maybe if you have if you have a hectare of land and you mapped out a unit area of it, and you calculated and you find out that you have 10 maize plants as the producers, then you can be able to then calculate that if there will be 10 maize plants in this 1 unit area, then the other unit areas, okay, you can now calculate, all right, to use 10 maize plants as the standard for the other land size. From there you can be able to calculate of a hectare of land. It may now be thousands as you have projected. Okay, you don't have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maize plants or to find out how many the maize plants actually are in a hectare of land. You may not be able to do that. So that's why it's a mapped out area you just looked at. You just pick at random a unit area of that hectare of land for your studies, and from that, whatever will be the number or the population, okay, that you derive of any trophic level that you have mapped out in that area, you can now use it to make inference or to make generalization that this will probably be the total, okay, the actual total number of maize plants in that hectare of land. Okay, so pyramid of numbers will just show you the number of organisms at each trophic level. For example, what is the number of maize plants in this unit area of land, or what is the number of lizards in this unit area of land, like that, depending on the trophic area you choose to study. Or you can even study across the different trophic areas, but basing your sampling from a unit area. From there you'll be able to use it to make judgments on what, or predictions of what the total number will be in essence. Now, given a land area, you will not, given a land area, maybe 500 meters square of land, all right, to find out the number of say secondary consumers in that population of 500 meters square, you may not be able to do that, like I'm saying. So you just map out a unit area, and then from there be able to, as a sample or sampling size, from there be able to know what the actual population will be. It's a statistical calculation, but that's not the topic for the day. So let's just move on. For example, here, talking about pyramid of numbers, it will display the number of individuals at each level. So here you still see that this is still a food chain, isn't it? Only that you don't have the arrows and all that, but this is what a pyramid is. This is how it's drawn. Okay, this one you see there. Okay, the box, I would just, the box says, you see that shape there, that's the shape of the pyramid. Now the ones at the bottom will contain the producers, followed by the primary consumer and then the secondary consumer. Now, taking a look at this, you discover that the grass plants are the producers in this ecosystem, followed by the vole, which is the primary consumer feeding on the grass plant, and then the barn owl, which is the secondary consumer feeding on the primary consumer, which is the vole. All right. Now, this is just a food chain. However, we are looking at it we are trying to figure out the numbers of grass plants. For example, I want to find out number of grass plants in this ecosystem. It has been found that there are 2,000 grass plants in a unit area of that ecosystem. Okay, and it has been found out that there are 25 voles in number. If you count a unit area of that population, of that land area, the total land area, a unit area of it, you have 25 voles as the total number of the primary consumers in that ecosystem. Then only one owl was found in a unit area of the total land size of that ecosystem. Okay, so only one owl. So if you be looking at the unit area of that ecosystem in terms of the land space, okay, mapping out a unit area, it was discovered that it was only one owl. Okay, there was counting, and it was discovered that only one owl was seen as the taking up the trophic level 3, which is occupied by the secondary consumers. So this is what a pyramid of numbers will tell you. Okay, it's used to make ecological statistics, okay, and judgments to know numbers, okay, for future, okay, projections and all right. So it's very important in the field of ecology that we know the number of these organisms at each trophic level. Okay, this will help in decision makings. Okay, all right, so let's move on. We've discussed what pyramid of number is, or pyramid of numbers, what it is. Now we're looking at what about pyramid of biomass, because we have another type. Okay, remember there are 3. So what about pyramid of biomass? The total number, this will show you the total amount of matter present in organisms of an ecosystem at each trophic level. Now biomass is preferred to the use of numbers of organisms because individual organisms can vary in size. It is the total mass, not the size, that is important. And then pyramid of biomass records the total dry organic matter of organisms at each trophic level in a given area of an ecosystem. So what I'm talking about here, pyramid of biomass, when we talk about biomass, this is the number of matter, okay, the amount or quantity of matter contained in a living organism. Remember matter, the definition of matter, anything that has what? Mass and occupies space. All right, so if you will be quantifying the amount of stuff or matter or mass, the amount of matter in a living organism, okay, that quantity will constitute the biomass. Now the biomass is very important because it will it's the pyramid of biomass is more, according to findings, it's very important or more important than the pyramid of numbers. Why, when you're talking about biomass? Because for example, you can't get, it would be good to derive biomass from the numbers because some of these organisms are larger than others. But to make good judgment, you will calculate the overall weight, okay, or mass of these organisms, the total, okay, the total quantity or weight of the organisms. Do you understand? Like their total mass or weight in quotes, okay, weight and mass, you know, they are not actually the same, but this is like getting the total matter, quantity of matter contained in all the organisms in each trophic level. When you do that, okay, for each trophic level, deriving, if you get all the organisms involved, if you from, because this biomass can be gotten from the numbers, so if you get all of them based on the numbers, okay, if you're able to gather all the organisms involved for each trophic level of that food chain, and you're able to weigh them all from trophic level 1 to trophic level 2, like that. Okay, if you're able to weigh them, what will be the weight of all these organisms per their trophic level is what biomass is all about. Let's make it simplified. For example, taking a look at maize plants, okay, as the producers, for example. All right, and we discovered, like from the last slide, let's go back. We discovered that there are 2,000 grass plants in a unit area of that ecosystem, isn't it? Now, if you will get the weight of all of them put together, so that you now get a mass, like a weight, or the amount of matter in each of them, the 2,000 of them, then that number you derive, or that quantity, is the biomass for the grass plants or the producers in that ecosystem. For example, again, you could be asked to derive the biomass of the 25 volts, which is the primary consumers. Now, they will vary in weight because of variance. There will be variation in weight. All the 25 will not weigh the same. So if you just get their mass or their weight, okay, if you can get all their weights joined up together, sum them up together, the quantity you derive will be the biomass of your primary consumers in a unit area of that ecosystem. So you see that biomass can be derived from your what? Will be derived from the numbers, or the pyramid of numbers. You just weigh them all, and the quantity you derive will then be the biomass of the organisms in that very trophic level. Okay, so biomass is summative. It's not the quantity of one organism, but it will be the total mass of all the organisms occupying that particular trophic level. This is a sample of the, let's go back first to pyramid of numbers again. Now you discover that the quantity is reducing, right? From the grass plants, we're having 2,000 grass plants. As it goes up, it's reducing. So that's why we say that, take note that the what? Number of organisms decreases while ascending the pyramid of numbers along the food chain. In a pyramid of number, it will be discovered that the amount of organisms decreases along the food chain. Remember, the food chain will start from the producers, so it's decreasing, right, as it gets into the primary consumers, the secondary consumer. You can see that number is decreasing. So I repeat, in a pyramid of numbers, it will be observed that the number of organisms occupying each trophic level is decreasing along the food chain. Now take a look at biomass pyramids, or pyramid of biomass. What do you observe? Now it shows that the primary producers here is the phytoplankton, so this is a water habitat, followed by the primary, so the producers, right, is the phytoplanktons, followed by the what? Primary consumers, which are the zooplanktons, and then followed by the secondary consumers, which are the carnivores, and then the tertiary consumers, which are also carnivores but larger fishes. and then the quaternary consumers, which are the sharks, larger carnivores. Now you discover that, what do you observe? Now that also is a pyramid. That shape there is a pyramid. That's what it is. It's a diagram showing you, okay, all these things. Now, what do you observe? You will observe that when we're talking about biomass, okay, so we mean that if you will draft a unit area of that ecosystem, and if you were to weigh the mass, okay, of all the phytoplanktons in that one unit area of that ecosystem, okay, if you calculate all of them or put all of them together, the summative value will come up as what? 1 million kilogram. You have 1 million kilogram, okay, 1 million kilograms of phytoplanktons will be the total biomass. Now biomass, the unit is kg because you're talking about mass, okay. You're taking a weight of the mass. You weighed, okay, the mass, and the unit is kg. So when you weigh by mass all the phytoplanktons in that unit area of the ecosystem, you discover you'll be getting 1 million kilograms as the total mass of all the phytoplanktons in that unit area, all of them, irrespective of their sizes. Now, the same thing applies to the zooplanktons. If you do the same, you'll be getting 100,000 kilograms of zooplanktons in that one unit area of the ecosystem. And if you do the same for the shrimps, which are your secondary consumers, you'll be getting what? 10,000 kilograms. And if you do the same for the larger fishes, you'll be getting 1,000 kilograms. The larger fishes are the tertiary consumers, and then your quaternary consumers. If you count all the number of sharks, okay, and you take their weights, okay, you know, irrespective of their sizes, and you weigh all of them, you get a summative value of 100 kg. Will be the weight of all the sharks in a unit area of that ecosystem that you are looking at. So this is what biomass is all about. It's a summative value. You just have to get all of them. So that's where you have to count, okay, get the numbers, get all of them, and then from there you weigh all of them by weight or to derive their mass. So the total mass of these organisms occupying each of the trophic level will be the biomass, and it will be represented in a pyramid of biomass. It will be simplified to just, you know, it's a simplified representation of these important quantities in ecology while undertaking ecological studies. So you can see how simplified everything has become. So having talked about pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, what about pyramid of energy? Now, pyramid of energy, we said, will show you the amount of energy input to each trophic level in a given area of an ecosystem over an extended period. So what pyramid of energy will basically do, it will show you the total number of energy, or total amount of energy that is available in each trophic level. Taking a look at this, you discover that in nature, ecological efficiency varies from 5% to 20%. Okay, so what we're saying is that only about 5 to 20% of energy will be moved along the food chain in a pyramid of energy. The rest will be lost as heat to the surroundings. So this is called the 10% efficiency. Okay, that is a general rule, and it is known as the 10% efficiency. So it's a general rule in energy pyramid that in nature only 5 to 20%, okay, of the energy will be moved from one trophic level to the other. Another way to put it is that it is only 10%, not more than 10%. Okay, some other researchers found that it's only about 10%. So that's why it is a 10% efficiency. As in the general rule became known as the 10% efficiency. It's a general rule in nature that it can't exceed 20%. Some have even said that it is just 10%, not more than 10%. It can't be more than 10% of energy will be moved from one trophic level of that food chain to the next trophic level. So what happens to about the 90%? It will be lost as heat to the surroundings. So only 10% will be passed on from one food chain to another. Or another way to put it, only 5 to 20% will be passed on from one trophic level to another along that food chain in an energy pyramid. And this is a general rule called the 10% efficiency rule. Now, taking a look at the diagram, you see we have producers, your primary consumers, secondary consumers, and then even man became a tertiary consumer here as an example. So you see that it's only 10%. Okay, now the sun we said is the ultimate source of energy. So the producers were able to make food. Okay, the producers were able to make food from sunshine through photosynthesis, isn't it? Now, and the greatest or the largest energy was contained in the producers. So the producers will have the largest. After making the food, they have the much quantity of energy, the most quantity of energy inside of them. So they become energy reserves or reservoirs. They are containing large quantities of energy. However, when the primary consumers will prey on them or feed on them or feed from them, it is only 10% of whatever energy the green plants are having that will be passed on to these primary consumers. Okay? And when the secondary consumers will feed on the primary consumers, if you calculate everything, it's only 10% that will pass on. And when the tertiary consumers will feed on secondary consumers, it's only 10% that will pass on. Now, this 10% is summative. All the primary consumers that can possibly feed on the producers, if you calculate their energy, all of them that have ever fed from that producer, it will come as only 10% of the energy was passed on at the end of the whole day. And even the secondary consumers, calculate all of them that fed on the primary consumers, only 10% of energy will be gotten. The same thing with tertiary consumers, only 10%, okay, is gotten. So that's why it's a 10% efficiency. However, it can vary, okay, it can also said to be 5% to 20%, okay, but some judgments made it 10%. Other judgments say 5% to 20%, but it can be more than 20% actually though. I think 5% to 20% is the most coverage. Okay, so as you can see, there were 10,000, let's say, kilojoules of energy contained in the producers, all of them put together in a unit area of the ecosystem. Now, all the primary consumers that fed from them got only 1,000 kilojoules. And all the secondary consumers that fed from primary consumers got only 100 kilojoules. And all the tertiary consumers feeding on the secondary got only 10%. So you see, it's only, from this illustration, it's a 10% rule. because 10% is what they are each getting along the food chain. So it's decreasing as it's going up. That's why along the food chain in a pyramid of energy, the energy decreases. As you go up, as you go across or along, as you are going up the food chain, okay, in an energy pyramid, you discover that the energy is decreasing from 10,000 kilojoules to 1,000 kilojoules to 100 kilojoules to 10 kilojoules. So the energy is decreasing, okay, along the trophic levels of the pyramid of energy. The energy is decreasing from one trophic level to the next, to the succeeding one. You discover that the energy is decreasing, okay, along the trophic levels of the pyramid of energy. Do you understand that? Should I say that again? Okay, I'll say that again. Now, we said that just like the others, in the pyramid of energy, you discover that what? Because all these are illustrated using food chain, isn't it? So, as you go up the food chain in a pyramid of energy, as you go from one trophic level to the next trophic level in a pyramid of energy, what happens? Energy decreases along the food chain. Okay? So from one trophic level to the next trophic level to the succeeding trophic level, what is happening? Energy is decreasing as you go up the food chain in the pyramid of energy. Do you understand? So take note of that. It's a very important question. And the same thing even happens for the pyramid of what? Biomass. The summative mass or the mass. Biomass, that's the mass contained in living organisms or living cells. So you discover that the mass too, or the quantity of matter contained in organisms occupying the successive what? Trophic levels is also what? Decreasing. And the same thing also applies to the pyramid of numbers. Okay, from one trophic level to the next trophic level along the food chain in the pyramid of numbers, you discover that the number of organisms are also decreasing. So take note, it's a basic fact. Take note of that fact. Alright, so the same thing applies. Okay, so we'll stop here. That's the end. Okay, and I hope you understood the lessons. Do well to copy the notes. Okay, just as you're listening to the video, you can pause to copy the notes alongside the videos. Alright, the pictures, the notes are inclusive of the video. Okay, so do well to take down the notes, review them so that you can understand better. Thank you and have a beautiful day. We've come to the end of this topic. Thank you.